This week, Siskel and Ebert review hitman Sylvester Stallone targeted by hotshot Antonio Banderas in Assassins. Winona Ryder finds love while learning how to make an American quilt. And Rafe Fiennes traffics in the digital underground of strange days.
I'm just looking for someone.
What's the name? I can check the plot map for you.
He's not dead yet.
Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas are professional hitmen who square off against each other in Assassins, one of 5 new pictures we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with a thriller about high-tech violence at the end of the 20th century, and also Winona Ryder in a film about women talking about love and marriage. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is Assassins, and this is a very strange and very boring action movie about 2 hired hitmen who find themselves competing for the same contracts. As the movie opens, Sylvester Stallone is ready to kill a man when Antonio Banderas does it for him, and so Stallone steals a cab and picks up Banderas in order to confront him.
Who's your contractor, Miguelito?
Why don't you drive? We can get acquainted. Chit-chat.
Is it possible to smash a cab against a bus with a guy hanging out the window and not kill him or even hurt him? I don't think so, but they do it in this movie. Banderas survives, and soon the 2 men are competing for the same $2 million prize for some secret software stolen by this woman, played by Julianne Moore.
I'm in way over my head, mister. I just want out.
Okay, now here's another question. Is it possible to survive a 3rd-floor gas explosion by holding up a table as a shield? I don't think so, but they do it in this movie. The last part of the movie, which lasts about half an hour or most of a month subjectively, involves a very complicated situation at a Latin American bank where Stallone is going to collect $20 million, and Banderas knows it and is going to shoot him as he leaves the bank, and Stallone knows that and uses Moore as a lookout, and then Banderas gets tired of waiting for Stallone to come out of the bank, so he leaves his gun outside and goes inside to be sure Stallone is still there, and he is. So Banderas leaves and prepares to shoot him again, and a lot depends on an obviously phony movie set of an old hotel with floors that collapse so perfectly on cue, it's like a ride at Disney World. Now, I'm the guy who says that sometimes you just have to accept things in the movies, but Assassins went way over the top. It is preposterous.
Also, I think it's kind of tired in a sense. Neither actor, I never felt that they were really in jeopardy, either guy. You know that they're a matched pair if you think of the design of the story, so they must march through the story. That takes away a whole lot of the suspense. I want to say this about Stallone. He's toned himself down. He's not playing the big macho RoboCop character. That's refreshing. Other than that, though, who cares about this story?
I don't really have any particular criticisms about any of the performances in the movie. I just think the script is just completely idiotic.
Okay. Next movie in our next film is called Dead Presidents, directed by twin brothers Alan and Albert Hughes, who 2 years ago, at the age of 20, stunned the film world with their debut picture, Menace to Society, a wonderful film, so tough about guns in the hood. Their new film, Dead Presidents, is more of an epic picture, following the arc of one young man's life through the late 60s and early 70s, from hanging around a neighborhood pool hall to fighting in Vietnam to his hard luck as a veteran. Here in '69, he stuns his family with an announcement.
I don't want to go to college. I'm just not ready for no college. You always said the Marines and fighting over in Korea made a man out of you. I figure I'd be, living my own life.
That's Lorenz Tate, quite impressive as the character named Anthony. 3 years later, he returns home from Vietnam and talks with a friend who also served in the war, but is more of a casualty.
Man, some got into me over there, man.
What?
All I know is my blood cells all up. Some nights I wake up in cold sweat. Don't look at me like that, man. It ain't the heroin.
Back home, Anthony needs to get a job. He asks his old pool hall mentor for help, but he's out of work too. He's played by Keith David.
This place ain't never made much money. So, I'm just hustling here and there, trying to get over just like everybody else.
Unable to find steady work, Anthony gets involved, finally, in a bank robbery.
Ambush! Ambush!
Drop him.
Dead Presidents couldn't be more sincere about drawing a line between Anthony's tough life growing up and even tougher life in Vietnam and after, but it didn't move me because it seemed so sketchy, dancing lightly over its familiar subjects of the Vietnam War and the rough treatment veterans of all colors received. The best part of the film, the performance by Lorenz Tate. He's an actor to watch for, but I can't recommend Dead Presidents. I knew its territory every step of the way all too well.
I did too, and I found the film disappointing. In a way, it's kind of like a Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
That
light, though.
That light, L-I-T-E.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what it did prove to me, though, is that the Hughes brothers, who are still only 24, are natural-born filmmakers. They know how to direct a scene, they know how to direct actors, and they know how to cast good actors.
Yeah.
But the story left me feeling like I had climbed a step and then stepped off into thin air. I mean, it ends with a caper scene.
I know.
It belongs in a heist movie. They've got all the makeup on, and they're going to stick up the Federal Reserve Bank. And
I know.
The whole ending is just a cop-out. They should have, if you're going to have an arc, start with the life and show how the life might really develop if it wasn't in a movie.
Because, Roger, I think what a lot of people are saying, all right, I've invested so many hours now watching this character, and not all veterans ended up pulling movie bank jobs. Do you know what I'm saying? If most of them imploded. A
lot of them might have walked into a bank with a gun to stick it up, but very few of them had a job that looks like it was choreographed frankly, by movie directors.
Exactly right.
Okay,
when we come back, Winona Ryder gets advice for approaching marriage and how to make an American quilt.
I never liked fool. They give people an excuse to do foolish things.
I'm young. I'm supposed to do foolish things. So, this quilt you're working on, is this something you're making for the state fair?
It's your wedding quilt, honey.
That's an early setup scene from How to Make an American Quilt, a movie starring Winona Ryder as a Berkeley graduate student who is about to get married and decides to spend the summer with her grandmother and her great-aunt. They're part of a quilting party which will sew her wedding quilt and in the process tell her stories about their own early lives and loves.
Now, for this particular quilt, the theme is where love resides.
So what you're saying is that by harmonizing all these different elements, you're creating kind of a continuity in the piece?
No. What I'm saying is I don't want to end up with some damn ugly quilt.
We saw Maya Angelou there as the woman announcing the theme of the quilt. Her daughter in the film is played by Alfre Woodard, and she gives the future bride some rueful advice.
If you had to choose between marrying a lover or marrying a friend, who would you choose?
Je cherche l'âme sœur. I would marry my soulmate.
The movie uses flashbacks to illustrate the early romances of the women, and in this scene we see Samantha Mathis and Lauren Dean.
So, what do you want to do with your life?
I don't know. Marry you, I guess.
Ryder's own parents have been divorced for years, and during the summer she is stunned to discover they're getting back together again. Her mom is a former hippie played by Kate Capshaw.
Well, that's an odd response.
Well, Mom, give me a minute here. You can't expect me to make this instant switch after you've been telling me my whole life what my dad is.
Like last week's movie, Moonlight and Valentino, this is another movie about women bonding together and sharing heartfelt secrets. And it's a better movie, although not by a whole lot. It does have a terrific cast, including Ellen Burstyn, Anne Bancroft, Gene Simmons, and Kate Nelligan. But anyone watching it is going to be reminded of the very similar structure of the Joy Luck Club. And if you start thinking about that film, this one just sort of fades and seems thin. There are no real questions to be answered, only manufactured movie questions. And at the end, well, a big storm blows up out of nowhere, for the sole purpose of scattering the pages of Ryder's master's thesis all over the yard so that she can decide to pick them up and start again and learn a soulful lesson about love. And then, of course, the storm disappears and the skies turn blue again. There were actually scenes in Assassins that were more believable than that.
I think what you just said is really at the heart of it. And my complaint about this picture and Moonlight and Valentino, made-up movie situations, made-up dialogue, obviously so. No spontaneity whatsoever. In the Joy Luck Club, it's a good comparison. I felt I was eavesdropping on real lives, real situations. Here, I saw pages of script being handed to actresses and them reading them.
Yeah, and you know, going all the way back to Greek drama and right down to the present day, there's this concept of the deus ex machina, the god in a machine, something that comes down out of the sky in order to affect the plot. And I've never seen one that was more lame and obvious than this storm that blows up.
But Roger, it didn't have...
And all the screen doors banging and everybody getting the windows closed and running around the orchard, and it's just all completely contrived.
But didn't you give up on the reality of the situation well before that?
Well, yes, I did.
Okay,
yes,
coming up next, a new thriller starring Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Lewis about the end of this century. Will it be the end of the world, too? Strange Days is next.
It's an all-out war, and you know it.
So, do I get the deck from you?
I'll set you up. I'll get you a deck in my car, since my thing is the software.
Clips, right?
Clips, right.
An ex-cop selling virtual reality clips of other people's experiences, the terrific premise of our next film called Strange Days, an ambitious end-of-the-century drama. How does wire tripping, as it's called in this film, work? Well, you put a wire on your head and a diskette into a video machine and you experience 30 minutes of someone else's life. The salesman of these clips is named Lenny, and he's played by Ralph Fiennes, who was the commandant in Schindler's List.
You see that guy over there with the drop-dead Filipino girlfriend? You just let it be that guy for 20 minutes, the right 20 minutes. Yeah, and I can make it happen, and you won't even tarnish your wedding ring.
Lenny's former flame is a young singer played by Juliette Lewis, who tries to convince him their relationship is over.
Stop trying to rescue me. Those days are over. I'm a big girl now. I've changed. Stop trying to save me. I don't need saving. Just give up on me.
Trying to help Lenny get over that relationship and get him out of selling these illegal clips is his friend, played by Angela Bassett. There's a top-flight cast in Strange Days, but they're put through a lot of histrionics.
It's real time. You hear me? Real time. Time to get real, not playback. You understand me? She doesn't love you anymore. Maybe she did once, I don't know, but she doesn't now.
There are a number of mysteries to be solved among the violent subplots in Strange Days, one involving a snuff film clip of a friend's murder that's been sent to Lenny.
Well, maybe he just figures Lenny will appreciate what he's created. It's the dark end of the street. How do you like it now?
Jesus, back off.
No, this guy is one of your squid head contacts. He's somebody that you know, Lenny.
The problem with that is, Mace, Lenny knows everybody.
There's a lot I like and don't like about Strange Days. I like the idea of the danger of recycling other people's experiences and trying to live your own life that way. But I really couldn't get into any of the mysteries in the story. They seemed so overblown and didn't involve me because they didn't have the power, frankly, of any of Lenny's clips. Their violence, laced with sexuality, dwarfed even the impressive production design of the film, built, of course, along Blade Runner lines. Also, many times during Strange Days, I couldn't believe that these fine actors got involved in this story. I didn't believe any of their characters. The film grapples with big ideas, but soils them, I think, with conventional movie melodrama of rape and murder. So I can't quite recommend Strange Days.
Oh, I think it's one of the best films of the year, and I think the last word I would apply to it is conventional. One of the things that I admire in a director, and certainly Catherine Bigelow does it in this film, is she pulls out all the stops. Yeah. She takes no hostages. She goes for the home run in this film, and that's one of the things that's really great about it, is the kind of visual and dramatic overkill. But then another thing that I think is really at the heart of this film, and I'm disappointed in you that you didn't relate to this, Ralph Fiennes' performance. He is not just an action film hero here. He is very complex. He's a con man. He's a conniver. He's a fast talker. He's a fast thinker. He's trying to survive in this apocalyptic universe, and he has at his side Angela Bassett in another fascinating performance. Then Juliette Lewis Lewis as this lost
I've seen
soul.
Juliette.
Boy, this is a good
Roger,
movie. Even
I've seen
Tom Sizemore is the best friend.
Roger, I've seen Juliette Lewis play this character before in a film I like better, Natural Born Killers, with some of the similar big ideas, and a director who pulls out more stops.
Wasn't the same character.
A similar kind of role. Juliette Lewis is cast because she does the same kind of thing a lot. Ray Fiennes, no, Roger. I felt that each one of them, and particularly Angela Bassett, and not as complex a character, I thought that all of them was subservient to the action scenes in this picture, and I really didn't buy their characters. I think
that what you have here is character and action and situation and this wonderful premise. This is, among other things,
the premise is great.
This is the first virtual reality movie that really, really, really is good in doing something with the idea.
You know why? Because frankly, it's more modest in terms of what it's trying to do. It isn't all gizmos up on the screen.
On the contrary, the gizmo is at the heart of the whole film.
No, what I'm talking about is how they're actually portrayed. It's fairly straightforward. The ideas are good. The characters don't work.
Good film on my list of the year's best. When we come back, a shy girl meets the man of her dreams in Jane Austen's Persuasion.
Good morning, Captain Wentworth.
Okay, now from Strange Days to Jane Austen, we cover the waterfront. Jane Austen's novel Persuasion is about a quiet but very intelligent young woman named Anne Elliot, who everybody takes for granted, and yet at the same time they depend on her. As a spinster, 27 years old, she's at the edges of the busy social season in 19th century England. And one of the interesting things about the new movie of Persuasion is how the actress Amanda Root involves us in her thoughts and opinions even when the scene doesn't seem to be about her. One day a naval officer named Captain Wentworth, played by Ciarán Hinds, comes calling. Now, Anne was persuaded not to marry him 8 years ago, but she's been in love with him ever since and is stunned now to find him back in her life.
I believe, Captain, that you are acquainted with my elder sister, Anne.
We have met once.
Captain Wentworth.
And here's a heartbreaking scene. She meets the captain, who is as tongue-tied as she is, in a tea shop in Bath. But just when it seems they might finally get some time together, her cousin turns up.
I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting. Shall we set off? The rain has eased.
Good morning, Captain.
Captain Wentworth assumes the worst, that Anne is going to marry her cousin, and his suffering and jealousy here in this scene are written all over his face.
Do you take my meaning, Anne? Or must I translate for you?
Excuse me a moment. Oh, Captain, are you leaving already?
Yes.
Persuasion is about two people who love one another and barely have the opportunity to even make that known to each other because of the customs and rituals of their social set and because of their own reluctance to declare themselves. I love the rich eccentricity of all the supporting performances all around them, and I was really touched by these two good but awkward people trying, despite everything, to somehow connect with one another.
I liked the picture, too, and responded just the way you did. And it made me think of the unrequited love affair in Remains of the Day between Anthony Hopkins, the butler, and Emma Thompson. Again, you're watching them, and you're breaking because you know that this situation set more than 100 years ago, of course, is replicated throughout life and is going on even now. People who don't seize the moment and regret it all their lives.
And this seems to be a particularly British story. I'm just reading Virginia Woolf's novel, Night and Day. It's about the same thing. People who cannot bring themselves right there. There's happiness right there. All they have to do is reach out and take it, and they're too reticent, they're too restrained, they're too shy, they're too inhibited to do it.
I think it is still a modern story. I know, and the British may claim it for their own. I think it has resonance no matter where you're looking at it, because think of the effect that Remains of the Day had in this country, the response of the audience to it. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, a better film about a professional hitman than the new film Assassins.
The Century Plaza, offering the finest in luxury service in Southern California style, adjacent to Beverly Hills on LA's fashionable West Side. The Century Plaza Hotel and Tower, a Westin hotel.
If you're intrigued by the big ad campaign for Assassins, have I got a better film for you about a professional killer, one you can see at home. My video pick this week is Fred Zinnemann's The Day of the Jackal, and there's never been a better film about the nuts and bolts of a professional killer than this picture from 1973. It's about the combined efforts of the French and British police to foil an assassination attempt on French President Charles de Gaulle. Edward Fox is the hired killer.
Now, all I want from you is a telephone number in Paris that I could call about changes in de Gaulle's plans. But the contact mustn't know who I am or what this is about. Send me the phone number by mail.
I'd like to know how you expect us to find $500,000 so quickly.
Use your network to rob some banks.
Nothing is more chilling in this picture than his target practice. And then there's the tension of the actual hit itself. Day of the Jackal, so much better than Assassins. It's my video pick of the week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs down for Assassins with Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas as hired guns facing off. 2 thumbs down for Dead Presidents, a well-meaning but obvious personal drama from the Hughes brothers about the trials and tribulations of a Vietnam vet. 2 more thumbs down for The Women's Confessional, How to Make an American Quilt. A big split vote on Strange Days, the end of the Millennium Story. Roger thinks it's one of the year's best. I thought it had some wonderful ideas, but its multiple stories involve typical movie mayhem. And finally, 2 thumbs up for Persuasion, the Jane Austen love story about a man and a woman reestablishing their love affair. So the only picture that I cared for out of the whole list was Persuasion.
And Strange Days. That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including The Scarlet Letter, starring Demi Moore, Gary Oldman, and Robert Duvall, and Nathaniel Hawthorne's classic of early American adultery. And also Jade, starring Linda Fiorentino and David Caruso, in a thriller about deep and deadly secrets.
How could you let them do this to you, Trina?
They didn't do anything to me, David. It was my choice. I was in control, and I liked it.
That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
The Game of Knowledge. The exciting and educational game for children and parents, too. The Game of Knowledge. New from University Games.
Fat, 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 fat. How do you avoid it if you love cheese? By enjoying Alpine Lay's fat-free Parmesan cheese, like I do. No fat, no fat, no fat.
I can eat what I want because of Breath Assure, the internal breath freshener. Be sure, Breath Assure.
Nothing works like Breath Assure, the internal breath freshener.